What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Arrow Season 5, Episode 22, Missing. This is the most excited I've been for Arrow in 3 seasons. I mean, holy crap, this is good. It's such a good build-up to the finale. And so many exciting things, so many things to get through, so let's talk about it. First of all, we start off, everybody's trying to celebrate because, Oliver, hey, everything worked out, Chase is arrested, Green Arrow's in the clear, Oliver's in the clear. They're just like, let's celebrate his birthday, guys, let's have a happy day. So everything's about to go bad. Sure enough, as they're celebrating, we see, first of all, Dinah's not there. Still have no idea what happened to Renee, why he didn't show up for his hearing. Come to find out, after Curtis goes to take Dinah's new thing, her new canary cry thing to her, he goes to her house to take it to her. Apparently it's been broken into. He goes in and gets knocked out. And so Felicity sends Oliver and Diggle to check on it, and he's gone. They got taken, they're assuming, by Chase. And that's when it hit me. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Because I said in the review for the last episode, I'm like, Chase is smiling because he realizes he's still got Oliver's son. I also totally forgot that he still has people working for him. He's still got Talia, he's still got Evelyn, so he's not really done just because he got captured. I come to find out, though, that apparently he also recruited Black Siren to work for him. So now he's got 3 people working for him, all incredibly deadly, except for Evelyn. I think she can be taken out pretty easily, unless Talia's been training her, which is a possibility. But he's got 3 people helping him. On top of that, he's got Oliver's son, which I'm looking back now, and I hate the fact that they showed us Adrian walking up to William at the end of one of the previous episodes, because I don't know. It's just, now that I've known for 4 or 5 episodes, Oliver finally figures out in this episode that William was taken. And I'm just like, see, if you hadn't shown that to us, we would have been just as shocked as Oliver. But you showed us that 5 episodes ago, so he's just now figuring out. We're just like, yeah, you've just been sitting there like, oh, could he possibly have it? And Felicity's like, there's no possible way. And we're just like, he does. He found him somehow. We don't know how, but he did. And that does lead me to the other problem that I do have with this. I don't think they're going to explain how Adrian has been 20 steps ahead of Oliver this entire season. And that's really disappointing. Maybe they will, maybe they'll throw it into the finale somewhere, but I feel like there should be some way that he's been able to keep track of Oliver and just stay ahead of him every step of the way. It didn't matter what Oliver did. Even in this episode where Oliver did the exact opposite of what he'd normally do, which is, try to keep Felicity and Diggle close to keep them safe. This time he's like, no, you guys gotta leave because he's gonna expect me to try to bring you guys close. And so they do that, and they're still prepared for it. Talia's still hanging out, waiting for them to drive, and it does lead to one of the probably cheesiest scenes of the season. She slashes the car, and for some reason that causes Diggle to drive up a ramp into a truck, huge explosion, and they get out of the car fine. I'm like, were there dynamite inside that truck? Was there something on, when she slashed, did she somehow also put a piece of TNT? And if so, how the hell did they survive that explosion? So yeah, that part of it was kind of stupid, but the rest of it was pretty awesome. But anyway, we also see that Thea and Quentin are taken to a safe house to keep them safe. This is before Felicity and Diggle get taken. And so they're in the safe house, and all of a sudden one of the guys gets a call from Oliver. They're trying to tell him that Black Canary and probably somebody else is on their way. The static is causing it to mess up. Tries to get on the radio, that's also messing up. So he goes out into the hallway. Thea and Quentin, of course, are just like, you really think that's going to stop us? And so they go out there to see what's going on. The guy ends up with a tranq dart in him, so he's knocked out. They go into a room where they see somebody moving, and sure enough, it's Black Canary. So Quentin's freaking out because there's Laurel right in front of him. Thea also comes in trying to convince him it's not actually her, don't drop your guard. But then Evelyn shows up and shoots them both with a tranq dart, so now they're both out. I find that kind of disappointing because I was really looking forward to Thea go back to kicking some more ass because it's been a while since she has, and I kind of miss it. So we see though that now they're taken, then Felicity and Diggle get taken, so now Oliver's pretty much all alone. The entire team has been taken. He's alone inside of the base, and as Felicity and Diggle are getting taken by the League of Assassins, all of a sudden somebody jumps down from the rafters inside of the Arrow Team Arrow base, and so he grabs a couple knives and throws it. Malcolm Merlin catches it. I'm just like, oh, Malcolm, this is awesome. He's gonna team up with Oliver now to save Thea. It's gonna be great. Sure enough, we see them teaming up, and then Oliver's going to talk to Adrian, and Adrian's just like, you have a little bit of time left. As soon as I get on that chopper, I've instructed my people to kill them. And so, as he's leaving, I think you're about to get a call. I'm just like, see, once again, how does he plan this so extremely well? Like, he's got to be a metahuman. He has to. There's no way a normal human being could possibly time and plan all of this so perfectly. I mean, every single move that Oliver does, he can read. And when Savitar does it in the Flash, it makes sense because, spoiler alert, he's a time remnant of Barry. So it makes sense because he's the future Barry, which means he's already lived everything that Barry does. And anytime Barry does something differently, that memory comes into him now because he's like, oh yeah, that's what's going to happen now. And so it made sense when Savitar was 20 steps ahead of Barry because he was Barry from the future. How does Adrian Chase do all of this? How does he know that Oliver's going to make all these different moves? It doesn't make any sense. And I hope they explain it. They have to. Because they can't just say, oh yeah, he's really smart. He can read. He can read Oliver like a book. Like, that's all it is, guys. No, nothing else. He's just really, really smart. That'd be really disappointing. I want there to be a really good reason why. I don't want it to just be, oh yeah, he's really smart and he thinks really far ahead. Because that would just be really boring. Oliver taking on a guy who's really smart, or Oliver taking on a metahuman who can somehow predict the future and see every single move Oliver's about to make. That would be pretty cool. So we'll see if the finale explains anything. I hope it does. I hope it doesn't just turn out to be, oh yeah, he's really good at reading Oliver. But anyway, we see Oliver and Malcolm are now teaming up, and they team up to go get Adrian out of the custody of these people. I'm not sure who it is taking him. I think it's Argus. But they're taking out all of these guys. Malcolm is covering Oliver as he rushes towards the chopper to keep Adrian from being put on the chopper. And then all of a sudden we see, Adrian just like, all right, now you have to let me go completely, or else you will never see your son again. And so he gets on the chopper and leaves. Oliver, of course, completely powerless. He and Merlin are now down in the base talking about what to do next. And Malcolm's just like, well, who else did you recruit? Who else did you ask for help from? And then all of a sudden, elevator door opens. Nissa Al Ghul shows up. Just like, holy crap. Oliver, Malcolm, and Nissa all teaming up. This is pretty badass. And so I'm thinking about the possibilities. On top of that, we find out apparently Talia is... I kind of figured because Talia is Ra's al Ghul's daughter, so was Nissa. So I kind of figured they were sisters, but there's like confirmation in this episode that they are sisters. And so they're going to have to face off against each other. I'm just like, that's going to be freaking cool to see. And so as they start to get a reading on where Chase is going, Oliver all of a sudden gets like this look of just like, oh no, on his face. And that's when it kind of hit me, because I did see the title for the finale is Lian Yu. So as soon as he made that face, I'm just like, oh, so Chase is taking them all to Lian Yu, where it all began, of course. It makes a whole lot of sense. And so as they're flying there, they're talking about, what are they going to do? We see Chase unmasking everybody on the island. The only two people that aren't there are Dinah and Renee, so I don't know if they are dead or if they're just being held somewhere else. Or maybe something else entirely happened, Maybe one of them turns out to be a traitor, That would be kind of surprising, and it would also kind of explain how Chase has been so far ahead. First half of the season, Evelyn was giving him information. Second half of the season, maybe Dinah was giving him information, or maybe Renee was informing him this entire time. I don't know, maybe Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not it. But for whatever reason, they're not there in the group. Um, and so he's talking to him about how he's alone. He doesn't have any. Or no. Actually, surprisingly enough, the team is talking about how Oliver's alone, how he doesn't have any help. How is he going to do it without their help? And then at that point, we see Oliver all of a sudden walking into a dungeon. And at that point, I'm just like, I started fanboying so hard because the best thing about the show has been Slade. You know, not just the outfit. That one Slade outfit that showed up in the crossover. That wasn't actually Slade. It was just Deathstroke. Because I mean, he didn't talk. He just was there and fought. I mean, that's not Slade. And so seeing Oliver walk in there, I'm just like, are they really gonna? Is this really gonna happen? And sure enough, Oliver's just like, I need your help. Boom, Slade. I'm glad you came back. I'm just like, and what's really funny about this is I did see an article on Facebook about like Oliver dropped or Stephen Amell dropped some sort of hint that Manu Bennett was returning, and he said something along the lines of filming for season 5 finale underway and tagged him in, and he responded on Twitter saying, "WTF? I'm not coming back. What is this?" And so I don't know if this was all done for like some sort of PR stunt, like they were goofing around, like Oliver tags him in it and he pretends not to be involved just to make people talk about it or something. But clearly he is involved. I mean, there he is. He's back. He's Slade. I'm so freaking excited. It's Oliver and Malcolm and Nyssa and Slade versus Adrian and Evelyn and Talia and Black Canary. I mean, that's an epic team up. That is going to be the biggest clash I think this show has ever seen. And I'm so pumped for it. Like, I'm so freaking excited. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so much better than that stupid little showdown they had in the 100th episode in the crossover. When it was like, oh, look, it's Oliver and Thea and Diggle and... Who's the other one? One more. Oh, Palmer. It's those four versus their demons. Oliver versus Slade. Thea versus her father, Malcolm. Ray Palmer versus some of Slade's guys that killed his wife. Diggle versus, I guess, a guy who was supposed to represent his brother. And it's just like, it felt so underwhelming because there wasn't a whole lot of talking. Like we saw Thea and Malcolm exchange a few words, but it wasn't really a whole lot of talking going on. They didn't really have Manu Bennett back, so they couldn't have Slade talk. Palmer facing random guys. Diggle, they couldn't even get his brother back, so it wasn't any conversation going on there. This one's going to have some serious weight to it. I mean, you've got Oliver facing off against Chase, who's been tormenting him all season. You've got sister versus sister in Nyssa and Talia. Evelyn, I don't know if she's going to face off against somebody. I don't think she could take on anybody in Oliver's team. It's like, unless Talia's been training her this entire time and made her a better fighter, that may be it. Like, maybe Oliver fights her for a little bit and she's actually holding her own against him. How did you get so much better? Oh, Talia's been training me this entire time. Laurel, I mean, obviously she's got her canary cry, so that's going to be hard to deal with for pretty much the entire team. And on top of that, Oliver facing off against Laurel in general is kind of concerning for him. But yeah, I'm just really, really, really looking forward to seeing what they've got in store. Because it feels like they've got such a good setup for this. There's no... Okay. There's no way they can mess this up, right? Like, that just... It's not possible. Right? Okay, I think I knocked on it enough. It doesn't feel like this could go wrong. Even if they do a lot of cheesy things, as long as they have an epic fight scene between Oliver's team and Chase's team, that will be good enough. Even if they don't explain how Chase has been so far ahead, even if they don't necessarily give us a great conclusion, as long as they have a fight scene between 4 and 4, I'll be happy. And they make it epic and they make it awesome, I'll be happy. I may complain about some other stuff, but I'll be happy with the episode in general. So, just to finish off on this episode, a couple things that I guess I need to mention just because they did kind of work. One in particular, I don't know why, but I found this very funny. They're throwing the surprise party for Oliver, and sure enough, it's a surprise party for Oliver. It happens exactly how you would think it. I mean, Curtis comes in to jump on him, and Oliver just BAM! Throws him to the ground. And it's just like, surprise. And the funny thing is, of course, Oliver apologizes. Look, I'm sorry, Curtis. I'm just like, it's kind of Curtis's fault. They should have known. As Quentin's walking in, Thea's explaining, oh, well, you missed Oliver flipping Curtis over his shoulder. He's like, I told you guys surprise party was a bad idea. I'm like, see? Even Quentin knew. So the fact that it played out exactly like that was pretty funny. The other thing that really did work for me was seeing Oliver kind of go a bit more intense in this episode, but also have his lighthearted moments. I really did enjoy some of the moments at the beginning with him where we see him being lighthearted, we see him joking around. But then we do see the moments where he gets very intense. When things get serious, we've seen him get intense before, but we've never seen such a good mixture of the lighthearted Oliver with, I'm going to get my son back, Oliver. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my son back, Oliver. So I like seeing a bit of mixture in this episode. I'm glad it wasn't all just him like, guys, we can't celebrate right now. Look, Chase might be doing something else. He has something planned. Talia's still out there. Everyone's still out there. Guys, we can't celebrate right now. He did actually try to relax for a minute. He tried to accept the fact that maybe they did have a victory. And of course, that did lead to them dropping their guard and Chase getting a bit of an upper hand. But, it still shows that side of Oliver is still there. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that lightheartedness between the team when things aren't crazy, when things aren't going down, when Chase isn't executing his master plan. I would have loved to see more of these scenes throughout most of the season, but we didn't really get that. Especially second half of the season, Oliver's been very depressed. So we haven't really seen much of this lighthearted joking around, except from Curtis in terrible situations. But on to a couple things that didn't work. The Oliver Felicity stuff, still not feeling it. Still, come on. Like, why do they make this such a big deal? Why is this such a big, like, ooh, guys, they work. No, they don't. We've seen it time and time again. They don't work. Felicity's a hypocrite. Oliver is way too intense. It doesn't work. It does not work between them, and the fact that they're forcing it again really sucks. And it bogs down not that much of this episode, thankfully, but it still pops up quite a few times. And God, that one scene with Thea in the beginning, I love Thea. She is probably one of my more favorite characters in this show and throughout most of the seasons. She's had her down points, but for the most part, she's a fairly interesting and fairly likable character. But this entire season with Susan, I think? I can't remember her name. The girl Oliver was dating. The entire season with her and Susan has just been so frustrating. And sure enough, we get more of it in this episode. And Oliver's just like, I have dinner tonight. And she's like, what, with Susan? I'm just like, why is that such a bad thing? Like, Oliver found somebody he liked. Just because you don't like her doesn't mean she's not a good person. And we've seen she does have a good heart, even if, business-wise, she's kind of a despicable person. We've still seen that she does have a good side to her, and Oliver's seen that good side to her. So the fact that you're being all, like, high and mighty, like, oh, no, you deserve better, I don't understand it. And it has been frustrating this whole season. That line was frustrating. But then, of course, oh, wait, with Felicity? And I'm just like, ugh, of course. Yeah, because that's what we all want to see. We want to see more. Actually, unfortunately, most of this fan base does want to see Oliver and Felicity together. And what's even funnier is they even take a shot at people who ship characters. Like, I can't remember the line now, but they tried to say that, what, shipping people? And I'm just, soap opera shippers? And I'm just like, whoa, hang on. you realize most of your fan base are people who ship. I mean, that's why you put Oliver and Felicity together in the first place. And now you're going to take a shot at them? Like, hang on. You need to make sure you're not messing with the fan base here. I'm not one of those, thankfully, but I just found it very funny that that's pretty much why Oliver and Felicity ended up in the first place, because so many people were shipping them together, and then you're going to take a shot at soap opera shippers. I'm just like, interesting. But the other thing that didn't work was the flashbacks, and honestly, I don't know, the flashbacks have been hit and miss for most of this season. Sometimes it's worked out well. Sometimes I feel like they just haven't been that interesting. I mean, the one where Oliver was getting tortured, so much of that episode was flashbacks to Oliver taking on Kovar. And I'm just like, I'd much rather see Oliver getting tortured and see how he's dealing with it, see how Chase is trying to mess with him, rather than going back to a timeline where I don't really care. And so in this episode, of course, we saw Kovar apparently survived, and he took Oliver, like, on Lian he took him into the prison and has been torturing him, gave him some sort of drug which apparently brings back the memory of past wounds. Okay. First time we're hearing about this, and I don't know why. So, apparently there's a drug that makes you remember, oh yeah, that one time I got stabbed. Sure, yeah, never hear about this drug again, though. Except for now. The other thing that didn't work in this flashback, the acting was kind of cheesy, especially when he was touching his old wounds. I don't know, the screaming just didn't seem right. You know, it felt like the scream should have been a bit more like, ah! Instead it was like, ah, ah, ah! And just like, show some better emotion. You just sound like a robot who's been programmed to scream. But then we see he's inside the prison, suffering from these wounds. Kovar tosses him a gun. He points to shoot at Kovar, but then doesn't, because Kovar's like, there's only one man that can end your suffering. And of course, talking about ending his own life. And so he's like sitting there going to put the gun to his head to shoot. I'm just like, oh no, is Oliver going to kill himself? Oh no, he's gonna kill himself, guys. Like, that's, holy crap, I can't believe he's about to kill himself. It's just, whoever saw this coming? I totally believe that he actually has a chance of killing himself right now. It's a freaking flashback. How many times have they done this, though? I mean, the first couple seasons is just like, you know, okay, they're trying to show that he was in huge peril there. So, I get the fact that you're trying to be like, oh no, guys, like, he's in danger. Even though we know, okay, it's just a flashback. He's not going to die. But this is like 5 seasons in now. And you're still trying to play to this whole, like, you even cut away. Like, puts the gun up to his head, and you cut away, like, oh no, what's going to happen? We all know what's going to happen. He's not going to kill himself. It's a freaking flashback. Stop trying to play it up for so much drama. We know what's going to happen. We know he's not going to die. We know he's not going to kill himself. Just move on to the story. You know, like, don't waste so much time with this. Because I swear, they build it up with so much suspense when there's not any suspense. Like, nobody's sitting there going, we all know it's not going to happen. So then he ends up getting visited by that one guy that, can't remember his name now. He was there on the island. He had that daughter that Oliver ended up getting killed, and then was later in the League of Assassins. So he shows up inside of Oliver's mind, trying to convince him to kill himself. Laurel then shows up, though, to say, no, we need you back home. And then we come to the last part of this that's kind of frustrating. Oliver tells her, I don't want to corrupt everybody. And then she just tells him, you know, you're not going to corrupt us, you know, we need you there, something along those lines. The problem I have with this is the current battle he's going through. And while I don't mind them tying it together, this is the battle he's going through right now. Like, it's not like he's moved past it. It's not like he's saying, you know, I have to believe in the people that I'm with, or something along those lines. He's still struggling with this thought. And we see, while he was in the prison at Lian Yu, we see he sort of overcame that. Which means, once again, he overcame that, but then he didn't. But then he did, but then he didn't. But then he did, but then he didn't. But then he did, and that's my problem. You know, we've already seen so many times this season where Oliver has gotten over something just to find out he's not actually gotten over it. I mean, it's happened 3 or 4 times where he's had to get some sort of pep talk to get over whatever he's dealing with at the moment. Once again, we're seeing now in a flashback, he's having to get over it again in a flashback, which means he got over it, what now? 5 years ago, something like that. He got over it when he was originally on Lian Yu, which means he got over it, but then when he came back, he had to deal with it again. But then Chase comes back and he has to deal with it again, but then he gets over it. And then Chase puts him in prison. He has to deal with it again, but then he gets over it. But then now his son's taken out. He's got to get over it again, but then he gets over it. I don't know. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the repeating storylines. I'm sick of the flashbacks trying to build up so much more suspense instead of just telling us what happened. You know, that's what the flashbacks should be. It should be explaining to us, okay, this is what happened to him. This is what happened to him with those 5 years. But instead they try to play it up like it's an actual story going on in the present. And it's not. We know what happened. We know the outcome of it. We just want to know what happened in between. And this is not important. You know, the fact that he tried to, or was about to kill himself, it's not that important because we know he ends up not killing himself. So don't play it up for so much more suspense. Don't spend so much time there where you could be spending it somewhere else. So, yeah, there are problems with it, but overall, still very exciting. I mean, really, really good build-up for the finale. Probably the best it's been since season 2, to be honest. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. I look forward to seeing how Slade's going to be used. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what's coming next. I'm really looking forward to it, and that's the first time in a very, very long time. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this episode? What were your thoughts going into the finale? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Arrow reviews, and I'll see you at the next one.